On that note, good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. Welcome to Envision Racing League. I'm Brett Evans in commentary for today's broadcast. We are here at the Autodromo de Jose Carlos. Oh, I've butchered it. Okay, never mind. We're here at Brazil for the Brazilian Grand Prix. We've just had the F1 race. Well, they did. I sort of crashed out midway, or not even midway, and decided I'd give The Witcher another play around. Haven't played it in a while and definitely blotchy, but we have got 10 drivers, will be 11 when Izzy comes in. We're just given a 5-minute delay to allow her access into the lobby. So we have got Bo Wigshut, Brent Tamboa, Jordan Dittmer, Julian Van Gimmert, Alex Thomas, Mitchell Ostanek, Ken Doyle making his debut for the F2 category. He's a PC driver, but he's obviously got the PS4 version of F1 2021 to get some mileage in. Manu Bigfeld and Roscoe Armour, and then another reserve in... I've never actually commentated, so yeah, I'm just gonna... he's a fellow Kiwi, so I'm feeling a bit guilty about not remembering his name. Richard Underwood, sorry. Yeah, so Richard Underwood in the Trident. So the Brazilian Grand Prix is of a high-speed circuit. Not sure why people don't really relate it to the tempo of speed, because there's very little in the way of slowing down, just through the second sector really, and then the rest of the track is pretty much a high-speed canyon of straight line and tight sweep and bend. So the trick to get around this circuit is always just to be able to get the car positioned nicely through the corners and not being too optimistic in your acceleration. Sorry, I'll just bring the microphone closer to me. Not that it's probably much of an issue anyway. So 11 drivers, 1 reserve, well actually about 3 reserves, but it's always good to see some extra names on the grid, especially with the small numbers that we do have at the moment for Season 1 in terms of both F1 and F2. Obviously at the end of this week, starting... Oh shoot, don't ready up, oh god, yep, don't, unready people, unready. We're not ready yet, oh god, hang on. Oh dear. Oh well, I suppose Izzy will still make the grid. She'll just start at the back for both races. Well, actually, technically speaking, she'll actually probably start on pole for the sprint race based on not turning up in time. Well, that's my fault. I didn't quite get to the Discord chat in time to stop the people from reading up. I don't know why they actually read it up anyway, because I was meant to tell them when we start and don't. So somebody's taken the mantle into their self to say the 5-minute delay's been put into play, we get going. But anyway, we'll just see how this plays out. So let's get our telemetry and all that done. No, there we go, full track map, and it's gonna kind of spin around a bit, so it's gonna be very hard to figure out who's where. Brent Tamboa is already invalidated, so he's out of the session early. Yeah, I know, Izzy. Like I said, I tried to stop them, but they wouldn't listen. So Mitchell currently P1 with Julian P2, both third, Ken fourth. Ken's usually quite a bit of a qualifying expert, so I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him further up by the end of this section. So this is the tight bit that I was telling you about in terms of really the only slowy part of the entire circuit. So why they class Monza as the temple of speed over this, I'm not so sure. The lap time is even faster for Brazil too, so it's hard to say. So Bo is now jumped up to second. It's going to be Mitch, who looks like he's going to take pole position for the feature race. Of course it is. This is how it all goes. So Mitchell will take pole for the feature race. Oh, God, that's quite a bit of a statement, isn't it? So Mano was disqualified, Richard Underwood was disqualified, and that pretty much covers it. Just to answer a question from Jordan Dittmer, Guy, I do not believe is going to be joining me at all today, so it's just going to be me in the comm box, like it was last weekend out at Hungary. So it's going to be an interesting sprint race. We're going to see Mano and Brent on the front row with Richard Underwood in the third, Jordan Dittmer. So in a strange circumstance, it's going to be a Dutchy front row and then a Kiwi second row. So the two Kiwis making up the second row, and then there's an Aussie on the third row. So, I mean, that's how it usually works. I don't know. Ooh, have we got rain? No, but it definitely looks quite threatening. Our local weather person actually didn't get in the lobby in time. So, and besides, I put the thing on approximate anyway, so there's no idea whether that's being told for these races are going to be 100% accurate or not, which I actually enjoy a lot, because you can't be so bold on your strategy because you don't know when the weather's coming, or you don't know if it's already here or whatnot. So it makes for an interesting development, and coming into F122 in just about a month's time, we're going to be very interesting to see how the league prospect goes. So running through the TKA Media starting grid for the first sprint race of the season. Oh, sorry, it's first sprint race. I tried to get them to stop, but they didn't listen to me, so it's not on me, unfortunately. You see, somebody started up the timer and I couldn't get them to stop in time, so that's on me. Well, it's not so much on me, but people, I didn't tell them to ready up, so I couldn't get them to cooperate. So why is this? There we go. So Brent on pole from Mano, then it's Richard Underwood, Jordan Dittmer, Roscoe Armour, Alex Thomas, Ken Doyle, Julian Van Gemmert, Bo Wigshirt, Mitchell Ostanek, and Izzy on the back. So is Izzy still... No, Izzy is in the... I want to say Ernie Virtuosi. Oh, and Brent absolutely spins off at the on the formation lap. You get that quite a few times. Actually, if I remember correctly, back in those times, I actually believe it used to be Ken that used to spin off all the time in the F2 formation lap. So, where is he at the moment? He's P7. He's still doing his thing. I believe he's in the Liam Lawson, the better of the high-tech cars. So, I mean, from a personal standpoint, I wouldn't say necessarily from a racing standpoint. Of course, I believe he was meant to be on pole position for today's race for the feature race, only for that time to be removed due to something to do with qualifying. Just a simple matter of perspective. Anyway, so the cars are all lined up on the grid. Oh, that probably explains a bit of my quietness. So my mic volume was down. Anyway, lights are out, and oh god, away we go. And it's a pretty good start there from Mano. I actually didn't get a chance to look at these race lab cars. That's why I sort of got the reserves to race in them. And we got I think there was Alex Thomas in the back there getting just bottled outlined. So Brent takes the lead into turn 3, and it is Mano in second. Then it's Richard Underwood in the first of the... Oh, wait, why is this car rejected? Oh, right, Trident, my bad. But he manages to keep himself off the wall and away from the others around him, so well done there from Richard. That puts Jordan up to P3, so that's a Race Labs 2-3 at the moment. I've got to give you credit to those at the back, but Julian's had a pretty good start. He's up to P4. There's Roscoe Armour fighting with Ken there. Now, I don't know if that... Actually, let me just check these numbers. So that's a number 22. That's a number 22. So there's, something's obviously wrong with the glitch, the patterns of these cars, because they just aren't fixing the issues with the number systems. Now, we got Julian diving in the pits. So the championship points leader and Izzy is also coming into the pits in the Gran Turismo Univirtuosi, and she's actually aborting the run, so I think what she said in the statement was actually going to pass. But anyway, Brent holding now a 1-2 second lead over Mano. Jordan Dittmer looking a little bit under pressure here from Bo Wigger. Ooh, that's Mano having a wee bit of a tank slapper coming out of 4. And Bo going around the outside of Jordan at 5. That's a beautiful move. And gets that position done. So next on his agenda will be Mano. And then Brent, his teammate, up the further up the road, 2.7 seconds ahead. So it's still just this... God, this is the thing I always find bad about these F2 cars, is that their pit crews aren't obviously trained to be doing a lot of high-end pit stops, and I'm pretty sure their numbers aren't as big as the F1 crews as well. So when you get into a pit stop, it's pretty long, but then when you get stuck under pit lane with front wing damage, then it's just a nightmare to claw back all that time. So for Julian at the moment, it's just damage limitation, trying to get as much points as possible. Given that his championship rivals in Eddie is not racing today, and Mitchell still hasn't really done much. In fact, he's picked up a penalty somewhere. There's a yellow flag. That's Alex. You can just see him actually just off the background there, making a mistake there. Mano's not completely finished with Bo just yet, and that's going to help Brent pull away a bit. But as I say, the likes of Eddie is not racing today, and Mitchell's only up to P6 with a penalty to his name. So if these guys stay in a queue, it's going to cause a lot of pandemonium in terms of the fact that he won't be able to salvage many good positions, as Richard Underwood now picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings as well. Actually, we've got... Oh, yeah, I know why. Wait, is he... Yeah, so he's coming back in to get off those tyres that he was using, because otherwise he would be caught in the situation where you end up racing this feature race on worn tyres that you've had to use in the sprint. So he's got off them. That's going to compromise him a little bit more on time, as Mano comes under attack from Ken and Roscoe. I don't think he was too intent on trying to let Ken through, but as he gets his elbows out and muscles his way back through, that's going to allow Mitchell some incentive to have a look up the inside as well. Oh, they're going to go 3 wide on the straight here. This usually is a recipe for disaster. Mitchell sees that and backs out of it. And Ken's... Did he get the fence? Yeah, he did. That's quite interesting. But that's going to... Well, it is going to bring out the safety car, so that's going to help... That's going to help Julian out massively coming into that, but I'm going to be quite interested to see... Ken's not too pleased with that one, but yeah, I'd be interested to see how that played out, because I just couldn't see really where Ken was in terms... I mean, I saw where he was going, but I was quite surprised to think that it was actually going to end up putting him into the fence. I thought he was actually just able to get out of that, but I guess not. So these two have left the session, so I'm not sure if this is going to have much of an impact on the way it plays out for race 2, but Izzy didn't qualify, so it would put her car at the back, and yeah, it's hard to say beyond that point. But so safety car is going to come out, which will bring the field back together. That's going to hurt Mitch, Alex Thomas and Richard Underwood, but at the moment Richard and Alex are pretty much scheduled at the back anyway, based on the positions where they are now. And then if they don't manage to pull a gap on Julian, then Julian will jump them both. And of course, if Julian picks up a penalty, then it changes the whole outlook anyway. So it does help Julian big time, because obviously he's, well, actually that's going to be really comes down to the safety car, how many laps the safety car stays out for. So the more safety car laps they have, the better their chances. Now, just having a look at these two race lab cards, like I said, I haven't seen them. They're quite boring actually in terms of their livery. I mean, I like the black and the sort of Mercedes green, but beyond that there's not really much to it. Of course, Race Labs used to be BWT Arden, as if I remember correctly, so from pink to black and green. But yeah, it's nothing, doesn't seem like it's increasing their race performances as their car numbers dictate that. Unlike Formula 1, where F1 drivers are allowed to use whatever number they wish, and are stuck with that number throughout their entire career, the F2 cars are numbered by the Constructors' Championship position. So Prema obviously had won the championship in 2020 with Mick Schumacher, which meant that the 1 and 2 stayed with them, with Robert Schwartzman and Oscar Piastri, so on and so forth. So I haven't really paid much attention to this year's Formula 2 championship, but I'm pretty sure that because Piastri won the championship with Prema, that they're both number 1 and 2 again. Everything in play there. So we are lap 6 of 14. Julian's got a long way to go. He might be able to pick up the fastest lap of the race if he's actually on the pace enough, and he does have the freshest tyres out of all the field, mostly on the account that he did have to pit for a front wing change, which then put him on another set of tyres anyway. But then he came back in and put those ones back on. So he does have 1 lap fresher tyre, and Alex Thomas is actually running on the medium set that he's got to use in the feature race. So he'll probably want to actually come back in and get back on those tyres that he started on. Otherwise, he's going to compromise himself for the feature race, and that's something that we've actually just come to learn about. Well, it's probably been in effect for a long time, but as catastrophic as the race in Hungary went, it sort of showed the system as to how everything can go wrong with the sprint race. So if you use your tyres on the sprint race that you're meant to use for the feature race, then naturally you're going to be in trouble. So for Alex in particular, he's going to need to want to come in, even though he's now at the back of the queue. He's going to want to jump in, get off those tyres. In fact, I'm pretty sure he listens to me in the stream anyway, so he's going to do that now, get off those tyres and get back onto the set that he used, which will give him a slight edge in a sense, because then obviously the tyres that he's used in this race will be slightly better. So we'll just see if that actually... Oh, I don't know about that one. I really don't know about that one. Maybe he's not listening to me. But yeah, that's gonna compromise your sprint feature race even more so. So it's probably going to pay that you better start on the mediums for this feature race and get on the sauce at the end, because yeah, you're going to have good pace, but at the end of it you're going to have absolutely no soft tyre. So I don't know about that one, but anyway, so the safety car didn't come in that lap, so that helped Julian now get to the back of the queue. This probably won't help Alex too much, although he's not too far from the back of the field. I think I'm just trying to think what race it was that Izzy did that she didn't get to the back of the queue on. It might have been Zandvoort. No, because we haven't raced in Zandvoort. Well, not yet at least. It was Monza? No. It doesn't matter really. Anyway, I think Alex will just get... Alex will probably have the best advantage out of this, because he'll probably get to the back of them just as they're about to go to green conditions. So we'll go back to the front as we start the safety car. We'll get back under green, and Alex is just off the back of them, so he won't actually get much of an advantage out of them. He'll just have warmer tyres than everyone else because he's been able to put it all through. So we're on lap 8 of 14, and Brent leads from his teammate. Then it's Roscoe Armour, then Mitchell, the championship protagonist. And now, with this race obviously being only half points, there's not really much in it in terms of making too many risks and things, as Julian goes up the inside of Richard Underwood and takes position 7 off him. So as they go through, of course, with 2 reserves in front of him there, Mano and Jordan, that's obviously going to elevate him up to P5, but he's not going to want to have to settle for just, you know, racing for the fact that he's going for a position or anything like that. He wants to race and get these past these people. As Richard picks up a penalty for corner cutting. I'm pretty sure his first one was for tracks, ignoring track limits. So good to see that the Codemaster system is sort of identifying the penalty systems to be, you know, one is corner cutting and track extending are 2 different things. You don't penalise one driver for corner cutting when they've been track extending and vice versa. So Jordan super defensive on the run into the main straight and then into turn 1, but I think we're going to see a move here, and Jordan just tries to give him a little bit of a squeeze, holds the inside line but is unable to hold it out, and that puts Julian now up into effectively P6, but of course it will be P5 when Mano, of course, being the reserve. But of course Julian won't settle for P5 by virtue of the... and as I say that, Mano decides to have a nice little pirouette off at turn 4, and that puts a run into his run for the time being, but that now puts Julian behind Mitch, who is right behind Mitch's teammate, Julian's teammate and Roscoe Armour. So the top 3 have not been able to pull away from the rest of the field. Julian does have a 2.8 second deficit to try and make up to get to the back of Mitch, but he does have 1 lap better tyres than everyone, not by choice as such, but it means that he will have 1 extra lap of attack in this race, but 1 lap less of attack in terms of being able to do anything in the feature races. Mitch does the fastest lap of the race with a 1:18 flat, and he's right up on the back of Julian's teammate. Now, as I said in the previous race, I think Hungary, you know, I talked about how the teammates don't, you know, they're in the same car, but they don't have to be playing the team game because, you know, they don't know each other from a bar of soap. So, you know, it's really up to, sorry, I'm just getting pinged here by another server. I might just put that down to that, like that. You know, they don't have to play the team game, so Roscoe doesn't necessarily have to try and back Mitchell into Julian because, you know, it will help him in the championship. I mean, Roscoe's trying to do his own thing. He's trying to get his own good results here. I mean, he's 3rd place at the moment. You don't want to sacrifice that just, or even go for the race win, because he's not that far back from Bo in there, and Bo's just picked up a 3-second time penalty anyway, so he's going to put himself out of the picture anyway. As it is, because of Mitchell's penalty in its essence, it is going to promote Julian up the field anyway, but I think Bo now sees the issue that he's facing with this penalty, and he's now actually going to just try and get on with it. He was quite happy to look like he was quite happy to sit behind his teammate there for that duration, but now it does look like that Bo just doesn't. In fact, you can actually almost see it, because in the normal sense of things, if you're racing each other, both, you know, Brent would have had his DRS fully open the whole duration, but Brent actually disabled his DRS down the straight after using it for a brief burst, and that was probably only to defend himself against Roscoe, but he's not fighting his teammates, so they're playing the strategy game. See, this is the differences between the two teammates. So when you look at Roscoe and Julian, they don't know each other from a bar of soap. They're probably not in the same party as one another, so they're not communicating with each other. You know, Julian's not asking Roscoe to pull aside or to hold Mitchell up or anything like that. But Bo and Brent, on the other hand, probably are. So they're probably trying to work together to ensure that they can get an MP1-2, but it does come with its risks, especially considering that Roscoe doesn't have a 3-second time penalty, and he's going to want to get on with this as quickly as possible. Also, if Bo continues to try and push as hard as he can, as he does the fastest lap of the race, he's going to put himself in a position where he's going to break the 1 second gap between him and his teammate and put him in a vulnerable position to Roscoe. And as you can see, as Brent has to go defensive now because he can't actually use Bo so much, as he actually gives Roscoe a bit of a cut offline there, and that's going to help Mitchell take an incentive there. But of course Mitchell probably knows better than to try and make a move around turn 5. It's such a hairy corner. But you know, now Brent is in a bad position here because he can't use DRS because he's allowed Bo to skip away and move himself out of the DRS range. So unless Bo deliberately slows down to allow Brent access to the DRS, which he clearly hasn't yet, but you know, if Bo does that, he's just putting himself in further risk of losing this race win. So Bo can't afford to help his teammate anymore. So Bo has to kind of leave his teammate for dead, which we're probably about to see now. It's probably not the best camera shot, but I think any which way we're about to see a Prema maybe flash through. No, not quite. So obviously Roscoe was a bit apprehensive to try and make a move there, but let's have a look. So Brent goes to the middle to try and defend. Roscoe actually didn't use his DRS that time around, so I think I know why that might be. That might be on the account that he doesn't want to have Brent attacking him on the final lap if he does manage to get through. So of course this is considered the battle for the lead because Mitch is pretty much out of it with a 3-second time penalty. There's an no, it's not so much an incident, it's actually just more of a swapping of positions between Alex Thomas and Richard Underwood. But yeah, so this is the battle for the effective race win between these two of Brent and Roscoe. Now, you don't want to be in Roscoe's position on this lap being. You want to be in Roscoe's position on this lap because Brent will have no answer for him. But in saying that, you know, Mitch has got nothing to lose here. He could make a daring move and pull it off as Roscoe now tries to go around the outside. That didn't work the last time, but this time it actually pays off. He actually gets it done before the corner, but of course he leaves himself open to attack from the DRS from Brent this time. Brent actually tried to make a shallower line and got a way better run coming out of that corner, but this is going to be where it gets interesting. Oh, Roscoe goes as deep as you can get, and then Brent with the dummy. They're going to have contact here, and Brent goes for a spin, and he collects. He actually collects Mitch in the process. Mitch breaks his front wing, and Julian has managed to now pull himself into a position where he can be in second place. Well, actually, no. Bo has now got a 3.1 second lead over the field, so this 3-second penalty of Bo's is going to be on a standing basis where he has to try and put it out to 3 seconds. It's 2.3. It's 3 seconds now. But he has to be calm. He has to be consistent. He has to get through these last few corners without making a mistake. He's guaranteed second if he does this, right? Or he made a mistake and got on the gas bit. But I think it's just going to be enough. Bo Wigshirt will come across the line and take his first win of the season and wins the sprint race. Roscoe will settle for second. And Julian, what a comeback from being so far back after the first lap incident. He will claim the podium. Brent 4th, Mitch in 5th with his broken front wing. Jordan will come home 8 seconds back in 5th. 6th, sorry. And then, yeah, so the 3 reserves take up the last 3 positions in the race. I'll be interested to see how that plays out, whether we'll see an investigation carried out by the field, but I think I don't understand it, but in any which case, we've got Bo, who claims his first race win of the season and takes a sprint race. Well, actually, has he won another race? Not that I can think of, but in which case he takes that glory out with the 2 premiers of Julian and Roscoe holding him down. Sorry. that was quite funny, actually. So we go into the feature race where anything is a possibility. Obviously, the qualifying results of the feature race was the one-shot qualifying that we saw prior. Look at that, 2 stop there for Julian, and it puts him in the strongest position possible. Now, Alex Thomas, yeah, I was just saying, it dropped out and then come back in. So we've got a very interesting thing there, and that's actually going to help Julian retain his championship points lead. A bit of controversy going on as expected in the Discord server. Any which way, we have got 10 seconds to go before the start of this feature race. Now we're just going to see for a fact whether Ken and Izzy's AIs are going to be on the grid as well. You'd think if they left the session they would not. Well, they apparently are, so I don't know what to make of that, but there's got to be something done about that with Codemaster. So our TKO Media starting grid for the feature race. These are all, of course, the qualifying results of the previous race been, and it is Mitchell Ostanek in pole position. Alongside him is Bo Wigzert, the winner of the sprint race. Julian Van Gimmert in 3rd, and Ken, who is not actually in the race, is P4. Alex Thomas in P5, he's actually not in the race at the moment. He has been given the incentive to go at the start, well, after the first turn, after what happened in the feature race at Hungary, where he disconnected and then tried to reconnect, and we did get to the bottom of it. It was a glitch where it took control of his car without him noticing it, but because the game didn't put him back onto his racing screen, he just naturally didn't have his car in motion, so you know, he wasn't on the brakes or anything like that, so the car just went straight ahead into the oncoming traffic. So that was the cause of that. But he will start P5 once he'll be wherever he is once he can take control of the car, which will be after turn 1. Jordan Dittmer in P7, Roscoe Armour in P6, Jordan Dittmer in P7, Richard Underwood in P8, Manu Beekveld in 9th, Brent in 10th, and Izzy's AI will start at the back of the field. Okay, so Alex is sitting in the lobby just waiting. He's obviously watching the stream as well, so that'll give him an indication of when he can go. I was just going to say what's going on here, but I think that's Ken's AI taking its sweet time to get to the grid. So, not as many cars as what the thing shows, but the lights will go green and it's away we go for the feature race, trying to spice up these start line procedures. So everyone's going to have to try and manage themselves around these AI cars, although the AIs are on a pretty high level, so they should be able to fight with these guys at least through the first turn until things get into play. So a good start from Mitchell there puts him into the lead of the race, with Bo just behind him in second place. Then it's the two premiers of Julian and Roscoe. Now, Alex, if you are watching, you're free to get into the car, mate, and free to go. So Jordan up to P5. Good start from him. Brent's come from the back of the field up to P6. Mono, Alex, Richard, Izzy and Ken are at the back, so the AIs will be at the back and should be there. Now, as I said prior, Alex's tyres are going to be absolutely worn out because he did the final part of the sprint, the sprint race on those tyres. So it's like anything you race in the sprint race, it will transfer over to the feature race. So that's going to be a very tough ask to get those tyres to a good operating window, especially on these 20 laps. Oh, we've got a... Did that happen again? It's a virtual safety car, so it's not an actual one. But, yeah, did that happen again? Let's have a look. He's just messaged. Just give me a second. I'm a little lost as to what's going on, because it looks like the field is... Alright, so let's have a look. So this is the footage from Alex. Oh. Wait, who is there behind him? Oh, Richard Underwood. Oof. Okay, so it was a racing incident. Well, not a racing incident as such, but it was an incident. Mano has crashed. Oh, oh, wow, look at that wall. That's a transluting wall. Now, that's Brent coming into the pits. I don't think he's got front wing damage, but he might have pit on the off chance that there might have been a safety car, but it looks like nothing's happening. So this race is sort of getting a little out of control in terms of what's happening in terms of who's where. So I'm just trying to piece it all together, so bear with me just for a second. So Bo leads from Mitchell, so of course Bo's on the soft tyre, so that's always going to be something to look at when it comes down to that. That tyre wall is spazzing quite extensively. So now I'm just trying to work out where Ken is, because it says he's P10, but there's also a blue car in front of him, which is Izzy, or behind him I should say. So there's Ken there in P10, but on track he's technically P6 ahead of Izzy, but it says he's also 1 minute 24. Now I don't know where... there we go. So Mano crashed at turn 3. Strange place to do it. But now he's P9. 35 seconds behind Breen, which is accurate. So that's actually telling me then now that Ken's a lap down already, which 4 laps in, I mean, obviously I didn't see what happened on the first lap, but I don't think that's right. So it's hard to say. It's just this. It could be on the account of I guess it comes down to what happened with Alex rejoining the lobby, so maybe that's broken because Ken's already an AI, so maybe that's just what's breaking the foundation. So, Bo on the sorry. The reverberation on my ear is nuts. So as Bo starts to pull away from the field, 1.2 seconds clear now of Mitch, with championship points leader Julian right up behind him. It's an indication that we've got to sorry, I'm just trying to I'm getting a bit of a brain fade here, but for Bo, he just needs to pull out a gap, and then when he gets on those soft medium, he'll have to hope that he can get up to pace with them while they're still trying to get their softs underway. So at the moment, Mitch and Julian don't seem too content on fighting each other as much. They're actually just, if not anything, just trying to keep the gap between them and Bo down to a point so that they're not losing out. So obviously Julian isn't too bothered about Julian isn't too bothered about trying to attack Mitch, and Mitch isn't too bothered about having Julian behind him. The problem now is that Roscoe is starting to slowly creep up on these guys, so it'll be a telling point to see how far they push before they actually decide to have a go at one another. In fact, as I say that, around the outside goes Julian on Mitch. Mitch doesn't even try to fight it because I guess he gets the DRS into the next sector. As Brent has gone into the wall at turn 6, which is not the most idealistic place to do it, but I suppose you can come into 5, hit the outer edge of the curb, and then it spits you out into the turn 6 barrier. So it's kind of hard to excuse me, sorry, it's not the race is boring, believe me, it's just I'm just tired, even though I went to bed reasonably early, although I was waking up a little bit through the night too. So I would imagine that Brent will come into the pits. That's going to put him a lap. No, he's actually going to stay out. So I guess, yeah, he doesn't want to risk going a lap down. So he'll just carry on with the broken front wing. Now, what's going on up the front again? So, as this is really the only battle that's coming into play. So Roscoe is within the DRS range of Mitch. Mitch is still within the DRS range of Julian, and they're not really making too much inroads on Bo. Jordan's now in from position 5. He'll get off those tyres and onto the mediums, which will get him to the end of the race, I would imagine. That's 14 laps, so I would think that's about right. Now it gets interesting because obviously Roscoe is now in DRS range of these two, and as I say, with the teammate scheme of things, what is that? A piece of paper. Sorry, I'm getting distracted quite easily by small things. I don't have ADD or ADHD or anything like that, so I don't know why it's distracting me so much, but so Roscoe is within a shot to at least get up to the back of Mitch. He sort of lost a bit of ground coming through the second sector, so he's not really in the range of the DRS where he can launch a move. Obviously, the one thing about this track that's always quite good, quite interesting, is that the pit lane funnels onto the racing line in a way, so you can sort of trick your opponents into, pitting. Like you hug the pit entry line as much as you can and then it's up to you sort of last minute, do you pit in or do you just stay out and trick them? So it is one of those type of circuits. In regards to getting that strategy in place. So these two are just locking horns at the moment. Of course, they are the championship combatants at the moment. Roscoe's there or thereabouts. Addie was there or thereabouts. And of course, because Izzy's not racing in the car, she's an AI, she won't be classified and get any points over the weekend. So, which is probably a bit disappointing in that regard, because her car's currently sitting in P6 at the moment. So she would have been banging in some consistency points, which for me is a consistent 8th place. At the moment, it's a consistent 8th place in the barrier, but you know, that's how it works. Now, Bo's just picked himself up a 5-second speeding penalty, which usually is supposed to come up in the penalty display, but it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. So, in any case, we've got. So, Bo's got a 5-second penalty he's going to have to serve. Now, who's that coming out of the pit lane? I'm guessing that is Brent. Yeah, so Brent's just come out of the pits, just in front of these guys, and that's who is that? That's Richard Underwood. So don't know so much as to what's going to go down there, but of course, wait a minute. Wait, hang on. I'm missing something here. That said Bo, didn't it? Oh no, sorry, that was Brent. So Brent's picked up himself up a 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding in pit lane. Sorry, Bo. I thought, obviously, I saw an MP in the pits, and then it said penalties. So obviously that was Brent, who is behind these guys. So I thought that MP in front was actually Brent's lapped car. Now Bo actually is in this time, and seems to manage himself to not pick up a penalty like his teammate. Now, Richard had pit a lap early, so we're going to keep an eye on this one, because obviously these two are on the same strategy, but of course compounded by pace. Now, Brent is slowing. I would imagine he's just had an off. Yep, he has. I've done that a few times. Now, where is... okay, so Bo's probably going to be safe from Richard. Roscoe. Where is Bo? Bo's just coming out of the pit lane now. So, Roscoe was probably made a bit of a gain. Not a heck of a lot. What's the gap? 4.7? We'll just say, yeah, 4.7. So, I can't remember I'm pretty sure he had about a 3-second gap to sector 1 again. That's Brent again. Oh, and I think he just got grabbed by Jordan there. Hard to say, but that's going to bring out a safety car now. Oh, that's actually grabbed 3 cars. Is that Izzy's AI? So something's happened there, which has got, I'm guessing Brent spun out and then collected Jordan, or Jordan's collected him as they've come in. So these two are now in from the lead. And I think that's positions as is. Now, where's Bo? There's Bo there. So it is a race, keep in mind. So it's still technically a race from to the safety car control line, which Bo is quite clearly out in front of. So the safety car control line starts here. So basically you have to be there. If you're there side by side, it's the car that's in front has to give up the position. So we'll just see. Anyway, so Bo leads on the medium tyres. This strategy, unfortunately, well, it goes one of two ways in the scheme of things. So, hang on a second. Okay. So, just got to think about this for a second. So, Bo is on the medium tyre, so it's a slower tyre. And then you've got the two drivers in Julian and Mitch both on the softs, which means for them, they've got the faster tyre, which means they should have the advantage. The problem is that the soft tyres won't necessarily make the duration. They'll make the 10 laps, don't get me wrong, but they're not going to be at their prime by the end of the race, so the mediums will come back to Bo there. And a drive-through penalty for Tall Cogwheel or Richard Underwood for speeding under the safety car. Now, I did that in Hungary, and it's kind of hard sometimes to know. Oh, I think now I could tell you what the heck that's about. So, when I was in Hungary and I did that, I guessed that the safety car, the lead driver at the time, wasn't behind the safety car enough and had to catch up, which means then the delta comes back. It must have happened and I didn't see it. So that's how I got it, and I think that's how Richard has got it too. So Bo has caused the safety car delta to come back, and Richard's been caught unawares, which is, like I say, it's not hard to, it's not impossible to miss. So catches us all out on the best of days and whatnot. So, of course, don't forget that after today's race, we go tomorrow to the Red Bull Ring for round 5 of the TCR Championship. Hopefully, another good weekend for me after clean sweeping the Daytona road course super sprint. Now, I do have to apologise too, because in the videos I made, of me doing laps around the Daytona road course, I keep calling it Indianapolis, so that's a bit embarrassing to say the least. But obviously Indianapolis isn't actually on the GT7 calendar. I'd love it to be an addition at some point, because I do like the Indianapolis road circuit. But, down the line, so that was a perfect race weekend for me. Obviously, the second race probably shouldn't have been my victory as such, but there was a last lap clash, and the driver in question, Lewis Forshaw, thought it would be alright to redress the position, as he didn't feel like he overtook me fairly, and that gave me 3 out of 3 wins. So it's been a pretty good season for me. With 9 out of 11 wins, and let's see if we can make it 12 out of 13. What would it be? 11 out of 14. 11 out of 13. Red Bull's obviously one of my favourite circuits on any game, so it could be interesting. So we're just waiting for the safety car to come in. I would imagine, yep, it's in this lap, so Richard will make it to the back of the queue, but in his instance, he'd be better off to just dive it straight into the pit lane, serve the drive-through penalty, because he probably will be able to, because it only works when it's green, and it will be green by the time he reaches the back of them. So now that the safety car's in, he could go in and serve it. Lights out, and off we go, with Bo in the lead. Richard actually elects not to do it, and Ken's AI has been left for dead. Of course, Izzy's AI is still in the running in P5 at the moment, so as I said, it could have been a beneficial weekend for her if she'd actually just decided to stay in rather than call it a day in the sprint race. But anyway, we've got Bo under attack from Julian and Mitch not too far back. Of course, Mitch is probably not looking. In fact, Mitch just picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. So the one thing that Julian has on his side more than anything else is his ability to keep onto the track limit. So that's what makes him a formidable opponent in this category. Obviously, a few drivers in the past, Andrew Lee, Mackenzie Stewart, Eddie Bettenbauer in his prime, obviously these guys knew the same deal. They just knew how to push these cars so hard, and Julian's been one of those beneficiaries from this in that time. So obviously with competitions as they are, it's just so when you're in the form, you just got to go for it. And Bo's always been that kind of driver too. Bo's been a quick driver, he just hasn't been able to find that balance about pace and keeping it on the track. So you can see that Bo's doing everything in his power at the moment to try and keep Julian at bay, and Mitch has just got the watching brief. Of course, Mitch knows that he can't really do anything major unless these two have a big off, and he can pull out a 5-second gap or 3-second gap. But he's also got Roscoe behind him as Julian now makes a move up the inside of Bo. So as I say, this race is going to go and come down to two different plateaus as Bo tries to attempt to move around the outside at 5, had a much better exit out of 4. Obviously, like I said, the soft tyres are going to be the tyres to be on at the moment, but they're not going to be like that at the end of the race. Although the safety car intervention probably has given them a bit of a reprieve in terms of the fact that they're going to have a lot less tyre dig because of the safety car keeping them on a moderate temperature and moderate wear rate. So it'll be down to really the drivers how they push their cars. So Julian, I haven't really seen much of his racing other than the odd occasional race he used to do in the T&E regional races on the Tuesday and Wednesday nights, but even then that was in the F1 cars. and the F2 cars it's a different story, but he's obviously been very quick in these cars. Qualifying probably hasn't been his forte against the likes of Mitch and Bo, but in terms of his race pace, he just knows how to get it done. And Richard Underwood gets added insult to injury by getting a 5-second stop-go for speeding in the pit lane as he serves his drive-through penalty. Now, Izzy's AI has been left for dead by 7 seconds, but these guys are still in it. So Roscoe's still got a chance of getting on the podium for the feature race if he can just get up to the back of Mitch again. And Bo now picks up a 3-second penalty, so it could be on course for a Prema 1-2, which would be 2 positions better for the team with their 2-3 earlier. So 2-3 sprint race, 1-2 feature race. That's a pretty good weekend for the Prema boys. Roscoe's definitely been a very good racer as well. His qualifying isn't quite up there with his teammates, but when it comes down to the race, he just keeps his head down, keeps up to the rhythm, and just tries his best to do what he can to get the job done. Now, obviously, it didn't quite go to plan out in Imola. He had a few little mishaps there and cost him a bit of performance in terms of that, but ever since then he's just been ultra consistent. He's still got to get that big race win under his belt, but at the moment he's just remaining consistent. He's helping Prema and the constructors, and all that's getting into perspective. So it comes down to what you've got to do to ensure yourself in the long run, and obviously what he did in the sprint race to ensure that he tried to hold on to what would be the win at the time was pretty much how you remain competitive. So there are drivers out there that do drive aggressively and put their elbows out, so you just got to be able to figure out what to do there and then to ensure that you don't get bullied around by them, but at the same time don't get too aggressive where you end up causing an incident. So Bo's done a pretty good job to stay with Julian at the moment, and this could be on the account that the soft tyres is probably already starting to beg for mercy, because despite the fact that as he goes for a move up the inside, Mitch takes the fastest lap of the race, so yeah, despite all that, he would be able to hold on. So this will probably help Roscoe a little bit as well, but Julian probably won't let this sit down too much. He's going to try and go around the outside. Bo gives him as much space as a 2-cent coin, which we don't actually have in New Zealand. It's only 10. But positions remain with Bo now back in the lead of the race. So the problem for Bo, though, is that even though that the tyre wear for the soft tyres is probably going away from these two guys, if he can't break out of that 1 second gap for the DRS, then obviously he's a sitting duck, and you don't necessarily need tyre wear to overtake a car on a straight. So tyre wear doesn't mean anything on a straight. Surprisingly, Roscoe is actually starting to fall back off these guys too, so I don't know what's going on there, but he's just not seeming to have the same pace that Bo's got on his mediums, and Julian doesn't quite seem to have the straight line speed of Bo in this main straight, which could be also down to the preset rules. Of course, we do use only preset setups in these championships, so Bo probably could be running a much higher setup. Of course, Bo does have a penalty keeping in mind on that, so he actually backs out of that and lets Julian through. I don't know if that's as a result of that, because he knows he can't win the race at the moment, but I suppose if he stays with Julian and whatnot, it might make it easier for him to hold on to second. If he does lose second to Mitch, then he's got to try and keep it 3 seconds ahead of Roscoe to hold on to a podium, which, given that Mitchell got the pole, Bo took out the sprint race. I think Bo had the fastest lap of the race in this one, that one, and Mitch has the fastest lap in this one. I'll just have a double check of that. Yep, so it's going to be interesting to see who gets the round victory, as Bo decides, even though it's the final lap and he knows that he's got nothing left to give in terms of the race itself, the race win itself I should say, he's going to at least give Julian, because it really comes down to it, Julian can make a mistake, get a penalty, and it's game over for him and Bo wins the race. But it also means, they could also all have an off, and the proof is in the pudding there. It's not helping, although this isn't helping them in relation to keeping Roscoe from making a Prema 1-2. So I can understand the logic behind it, but I just can't see why you would do it as such. You're trying to make it harder for one guy, but you're making it harder on yourself as well. So it's a yin and yang principle. It could also just be for the show of things. I don't know. It's kind of painful on my voice box because I'm the only one commentating today, so I sort of would rather, if you're going to have a show like this, do it when I've got Guy with me in the commentary box or someone else. But in any which case, Bo's going to cross the line. It would be 2 on the trot, back-to-back victories, but it will go to Julian on the account of the penalties, and Roscoe will jump up to second, so it is a Prema 1-2, and Bo will hold on to third with Mitch in fourth, and then it will be I think that actually might be it, because I think the other drivers are reserves or not in the actual race itself. So Izzy's AI gets driver of the day, so congratulations to Izzy's AI. And congratulations to Julian. The championship points leader just continues to extend his points gap on the field. And with that victory over Mitch's 4th place, well, that's going to definitely ensure that he continues his path towards his first F2 championship. And one of the first championships of Envision Racing League. Of course, there's 3 championships on the offer: the F1 championship, the F2 championship, and the GT7 championship. Now, looking at the round results, and it is Julian that takes the round results by 2 points over Bo and Roscoe in third. So only 5 points separate the top 3. Mitch, unfortunate for him, it's probably his worst finish in the round overall. So he'll be wanting to bounce back from that, and then Brent and Izzy are tied, but of course Izzy didn't participate, so Brent will hold on to that, and then Alex Thomas didn't score any point over the weekend with a DNF in the sprint race and a DNF in the feature race. So bottom line is we've had what's this? I didn't care about the result. I got my fastest lap. I'm saving my fastest laps. That's certainly an interesting prospect. So, obviously, we say thank you for watching round 4 of the championship here at... round 5 of the championship here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. We go to Spa-Francorchamps for round 6 at the Belgium Grand Prix. I'm Brett Evans. Thank you for watching. Don't forget tomorrow to tune in to B_Evans_97 on Twitch for round 5 of the TCR GT7 Championship at the Red Bull Ring. So thanks for watching, and we will see you tomorrow.